89 on up, homies, the show where you gon' get Cali history. It's told with respect and dignity. Spoken by jihad so vividly. He's taking over the industry, giving y'all some download imagery. Damn you, if you ain't hitting them likes, come on, subscribe. Check out the channel and I bet it will make you decide to tune in every chance you get. It's lit, and some of y'all can learn a bit from this gangster shit.
YouTube, what it do, loved ones? You know the motto, if you can, after the story's over there, hit us with a like, which is a thumbs up, and that'll let us know we kicking our stuff. I want to thank the homeboy G. Lee Deuce for the intro from the legendary Mental Historical Hip Hop album, Banging on Wax. You can reach him on Instagram at Solid From Day One. YouTube, what it do, loved ones? Welcome to 89 on up. And today's topic is surrounding the 1992 peace treaty that circulated around the beating of Rodney King. And the young homeboy I was cutting it up with, he kind of wanted me to dive in to the narrative of how the vibe and effect was of that 1992 peace treaty. Now, just before I dive in the story, I want to re-illustrate this whole movement was surrounded by Rodney King, which was a black male driving through the city of Los Angeles, California, and was pulled over and was violated of all his civil rights, beaten nearly to death in the streets. And back then, it wasn't no social media or nothing. So we was just so happy to be lucky at that time that someone caught it on camcorder, homie, and was able to send a VHS tape in, I guess, to the news. And later on during that process, it was plastered all on nationwide television. Now, this was something that already been going on in a lot of ghetto communities. We had been already squabbling the police and going through this, but it never was really captured like this Rodney King moment. So now, with this happening, it's camcorder recorded, the VHS tape gets sent into the news. Now, I guess as it go through its channels before it hit us, bam, now it finally get plastered and we catch it. We catch it on the news back then. No social media. And so now dudes back then would be hanging out in spots. You'll either be at the house chilling and be able to catch just television back then, real genuine type television back then. So bam, people sees this and it strikes to the core, homie, of everybody in Los Angeles, California, not just only black, but underprivileged other races that grew up in the cultural style that we grew up in, homie, at that time. It affected low poverty people. So bam, with this in effect and people seeing it, we outraged. Like I said, we've been going through it already, squabbling with the police and stuff, but now it's finally hit to where the public can see it, homie. So now we thinking, as a black community, justice is finally finna be served, homie. Like up-to-date time issues that happen. People be saying, since it's plastered like this, you don't have no choice but to recognize it as this. So anyway, we, as a race of people, we hoping these cops get served, homie. So time go on, people watching the trial and everything. But in the midst of this, don't get it twisted. Even though this is just something, it's something that's on the different channels. It's a conversation piece, a big old topic on television news. We still out here in our young minds, homie, getting it in on one another. The Crips and the Bloodz, homie. We out here still giving it to one another in these streets, along while this verdict is moving on, homie. So bam, so to speed it up some, the verdict trial going on and it hits. So now we get a not guilty verdict. I believe a not guilty verdict on them. They didn't see what everybody saw type thing. So that strike us to the core, homie. So I guess dudes in the older generation at that time above us, they heard of the wash riots and stuff like that, just like this generation did they thing, and they heard of the Rodney King riots. So the generation older than me and stuff, they heard about the wash riots and stuff, homie. So G dudes took effect of an old style method and brought it up to that time in 1992, homie, and took to the streets for revenge for black culture, dog. And I believe it started around the community of the H.A. Gangster Crips, homie, the H.A. Gangster Crip community area. And not to go heavily all into that, but that's where the black culture uprise started, homie, around the western area, dog. So with this being also plastered by helicopter, national-wide television, hoods across Los Angeles, California, is looking at this, dog. And like I said, these older generation style homies that had grandparents, aunts, uncles, and mothers that possibly lived through that watch wide area and heard of that, dudes from these older pocket areas start taking to their streets and their community and, you know, devastating and destroying it. And at that time, homie, we was all in an illusional mindset like that's the thing that's supposed to be done. But really all we did is strip and tore up our community worse than what it was. And at the end made people didn't even really want to come back in and build our turfs and community areas back up. So anyway, homie, to dive back into the get down, it's a ripple effect through Los Angeles, California, dog. So now I'm gonna speak on my turf, the Inglewood neighborhood Power Root area. We tear up our turf, homie. And at that time, we had Boys Market on La Brea and our turf, homie, La Brea and Centinela. So we hit that, homie. You know, we do what was common at that time. We load up on a gang of food, gang of liquor. We hit the beauty supply aisle up in there, hit up other little spots inside our communities and load spots up, homie. So now with this verdict hitting and people hitting the streets, terrorizing our communities and different communities as a culture, now the news and different dudes is talking about a peace treaty community rally, homie, with Crips and Bloodz, homie. So now at this time, like I said, we have been warned, still popping on each other, Rips and the Bloodz, homie. We have been getting it in on one another. So a lot of us is uneducated on mixing with one another, dog, because we come in on an era of Crip and Bloodz at its high point, homie. So we come in on these hoods not mixing with Crips, homie. It's full-fledged war still, you know. 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, them is hostile times still, dog. So, bam, we catch the news in the turf, not social media, phones, or none of that. We catching in them pockets of spots, ironing khakis, eating food at dinner tables in the hood, getting our hair done, and hanging with homegirls at they spot watching the news. We catching possibly peace treaty amongst the Crip and Blood attempt. Now, back then, some dudes was dealing with different organizations, community peace activist type movements, but it wasn't big like it is now, homie. So the dudes that was kind of up under it, it wasn't a big exposure like that because dudes was still tripping. Because like I said, if homies is dying in the streets, Crips is dying in the streets, it's a war. So it's kind of like a lightweight pick at certain homies and try to plant a seed in some dudes' heads to see can we carry the momentum of a peace amongst Crips and Bloods. So anyway, homie, with us miseducated on it, especially my younger generation, because all we did was come on to get cracking, homie. You know, we was coming on to carry out the senseless war, the blue rag and the red flag, homie. You know what I'm saying? We was just here as young Crips and Bloods to keep the war going, homie, for our hoods. So anyway, with that being said, the news is pushing all this, homie. So now you hear of different hoods like going towards the PJs and the Watch community area. They're putting together these rallies inside their community, walking them Crips and Bloods to come to kind of mix, hang out, and hang with one another, dog. So like I said, it ain't social media once again. So when we seeing this on the news, dudes and hoods and shit, we like, damn, homie, them niggas all out there like that. So it was like some hoods, it was like the toughest of the toughest, the downest of the downest of that time. We mounted up, even though some hoods wasn't with it. We mounted up just to go see for yourself what was popping, homie. Because if you had a name at that time or your hood had some type of style and structure, you was going to these things to see what it was, to bring it back, the dialogue to the rest of the homies that might have not made it or didn't, or said, fuck that shit, I'm not going. So anyway, dog, I'ma speed it to, we seeing this on the news, we hearing about it in the PJs. So a few homies, we like, Blood, let's bounce out there, kind of be what's going on out there, dog. This how we talking at that time. So me, the homie Big 211, PIP from the Turf, Little Philos from Inglewood family, and the big homie OG Big Slim from Neighborhood Power Route 500 block. We all decide we gonna go and get a visual and see what this shit is all about, homie. And that's how it was at that time. It wasn't social media where you could just look at something and all that. Like I say, the best of the best, the downest of the downs, all posseed up out of certain pockets of these hoods, homie, and went to see what was going on. And, you know, sprinkles of the downest out of the Crips and Bloods areas. You know, dudes mounted up, whoever wanted to go and whoever was down, they hit all these spots. So us four, homie, we go hit the PJ one, homie. The PJ Watch Crip one. And at that time, like I said, I'm young. I ain't doing too much gelling like that. I'm camping in juvenile hall, Central Seal, more LP type juvenile gelling type thing. So I didn't really know a gang of PJ Watch Crips at that time. I knew a cat named Donut and a slender dark-skinned dude at that time of my age bracket named PJ, I believe, homie. And they was some cool PJ Watch Crip. Every time I jailed with them, I knew Donut first, and I met PJ through Donut. But every time I jailed around them dudes, homie, in our youthful age, them dudes made sure I was all right as being a Damu. If they was cool with certain Crips, they laced them dudes that I was Damu and I was all right, homie. Shout out to them dudes. So anyway, homie, we pushed there, dog. So when we get there, we flanked, homie. We in the homie Little Philos Regal at that time. So when we pushed there, we flanked. You know what I'm saying? The big homie, OG Big Slim, he flanked Pendleton, flanked Army Green Khakis, I think, flanked Chuck, something like that. I'm 10 Khaki'd, I think, burgundy chucked or red chucked up. The homie Big Two, I think he like a neutral flank, and Philos like a neutral flank. And a neutral flank is where you not flank head to toe. You might have on all black, all gray, and your shoes will have some cherry strings, or you will have a sweatshirt on with the cherry t-shirt up underneath it. You ain't heavily flanked, so that's like a neutral flank. So anyway, dog, we hit this PJ Watts Peace Treaty function event, homie. to get a glimpse with our own eyes on what's cracking with this situation. So like I say, before I dive into the story, we've been banging, getting it in with each other, squabbling in different locations and everything, making names for ourselves, big names back then. So bam, anyway, us four, we hit the PJs, homie. So we belling through there, you know what I'm saying? Homies flank, we belling through there. We see some bras, they looking like, ooh, ugh. Cause homies is flanked, homie. This still new to everybody. Like I say, even if a lot of people wasn't with it, they still attending it, homie. So people, you know the females gonna say slick stuff and all that. So we come in with a different look. I got the perm slick back, the big homie, big gangster Slim. He G'd up, flanked up, you know what I'm saying? Rest of the homies flanked up, you know, neutral flank. So we pushing through, we see some bras, they like, we like look at them like, So bam, as we going through there, about 15, 20 Crips, they belling up on the homeboy, big gangster Slim from the turf, homie. Now the homie, the big homie was totally active in them days, homie, of our younger times out here really pushing this thing that we really believed in for our communities, homie. And the homie was like one of our heroes, like how we speak a dulo. He's one of our heroes like a dulo, homie. So when we pushed here, he's well known by a gang of Crips, dog. And like I say, about 15, 20 Crips walking up on the homie, telling the homie about squabbles and different events. And we run across a dude from Atlanta Drive. He tell the homie about a squabble and the major incidents they have. And we just hearing all this stuff. And it's like social media now. We telling stories to each other, faces in 92. Like, yeah, homie, remember you jumped out on me and gave it to me, homie, and I gave it to you back. We like, you know, dudes is doing this type stuff to us with the big homeboy, the original big gangster Slim from the turf. You know, dudes is, we sending stories like this, dog, because they remember the big homie. So anyway, with this going on, I'm kind of spooked. It's a million rips it look like through there, homie. So we belling. So once we shake through them, we belling through, you know, just, you know, sightseeing, seeing what's going on. They get the busing over there in the PJ. Yeah. You just hear all kind of big weapons, homie. So I'm young, kind of spooked. Like, damn, homie, it's going down up in here, homie. So I remember standing like trying to go by a door ledge of one of them spots in the PJs, homie. Back then, every house was like a Crip house in the 90s right there. So I'm standing up on a door ledge, some rips like, don't stand there. So the homeboy, big gangster Slim, the big homie, he tell me, he like, hey, HP, get over here, homie. You know what I'm saying? Them rips, homie, you don't know what might happen. So he grabbed me up in the midst of them dumping. He like, man, get a P up and let's get up out of here, homie. So we strike the P up and we belling through the crowd as they busting. So bam, as we get through that, I tell the big homie, big gangster Slim, I'm like, Blood, I'm ready to get up out of here, Blood. I'm feeling uncomfortable, Blood. So he like, Blood, give us a minute, Blood. I'm gonna grab the homeboys. We get up out of here. So bam, homie, we finally get the homies together and we getting up out of here. So as we getting in the homeboy little Falash car, a G Crip bell up on us with like a little Jerry curl with some LA Gate jeans on with like some honcho boots with them striped shirts we used to wear. He like, hey, low cuz, oh, my bad, homie. Hey, can I get a ride like 2 blocks up to my peoples and shit? So we all looking at each other like, man, this nigga crazy. He kind of bent. He got a cup in his hand. So we like, the homie, Lil Falas and them like, fuck it, get in, homie. Lil Falas and Big 211 them like, Blood, get in, homie. So we take him up the street. But me and the other homie, we looking like, man, this nigga bent, homie. This nigga not knowing he could get kidnapped and got. Because, you know, dude, that was happening to some dudes, homie. Doing that P, they was getting in the cars with some dudes and that dudes weren't returning. You know, Bloodz was getting in the cars with Crips possibly getting in it. Crips was getting in the car with Bloodz and possibly getting it. So anyway, all this stuff go down. We hit the turf. We report back to the turf. We telling niggas how it was because we went on social media. We like, nigga, this was going on. Nigga, was a million rips. Nigga, this happened, and this, and that. So bam, now, it was, like I say, it wasn't social media. So now, how dudes was really kind of finding out how turf what turf was being involved with the treaty, homie. You had dudes going around driving, scouting different hoods, like enemies would be going to different enemy hoods, saying, you know, asking who was with it, homie. Or if they see some dudes, they'll spread the word for you to spread the word. So now we in the turf, and at this time in 1992, the block is eucalyptus, homie. So we all on the block. Okay, we go there, we tell the homies what time it is. So the homies kind of voted like, you know, in our immature minds, homie, we was like, fuck peace, homie. Sniper power, fuck peace, homie. Because we had been going through it. Niggas been getting bust on and all that. And a lot of turfs was feeling like that. Crips and Bloods. Like I say, it was homies out of the hoods, like pockets, niggas out the hood that felt a certain type of way. But a lot of niggas that was keeping up the reputation for the hoods was like, man, fuck that shit, you know. And some niggas that been really doing that shit and was burnt out on that shit was like, you know, the niggas that was advocating for that shit to slow down. So anyway, homie, how I wound up seeing some Crips, I think some 60 Crips hit our turf to find out what we piecing. One day we on eucalyptus, homie, within this, you know, this week or so, 2 weeks time span, this whole thing surrounding Rodney King. We in the turf, homies banged out on eucalyptus. Niggas had just got some 40 ounces, so I'm cracking a 40 ounce open on the block, homie. I got a white tee, army green khakis, black chucks, burgundy strings. So I'm out there twisting the top off the 40. I bless it, I'm drinking it, and I'm out there with a few homies. We out there blooding and talking shit. So I remember an Astro van pull up, homie. You know what I'm saying? And niggas did it like overhill sign with the 60s and shit. Niggas gave up 60s like that on this, homie. So homies, you know what I'm saying? We doing this a little thing, and we knowing them niggas wasn't really coming through like on a hella attack. We heard niggas been coming through different hoods, asking who would peace, homie. So when they come through and drop like the overhill 60 sign and all that and say, you know, the 60s, homie. You know, and the homies jump up like, you know, the Sniperhood Power Blood gang. What's up, homie? You know what I'm saying? So in the midst of the homies giving it up, I dip off and run down the hill. I think the big homeboy, Big Gangster Slim, Lil Bugsy, and a few more homies, they down there gambling, gambling in a parking stall or politicking. So in the midst of the 60s out there with the homies on the front line on eucalyptus, next to the building we call it the penitentiary, and right by the homeboy Ghost old building PIP from the turf. So I slip off, run down there. I tell the big homies, I'm like, blood, the 60s here. They talking about these niggas piecing. So the homies at that time, niggas had automatic weapons. So homies run up there, the big homies run up there, you know, show cannons, and the dudes from 60s, they had cannons. But we was like, homie, niggas ain't doing the big homies like, we ain't doing that over here. The Sniperhood Power, we ain't doing it over here. We respect the get down. The big homies like, we respect the get down, but we ain't doing it over here, homie. And I remember them dudes from 60s in the Astro van, they drove down the block, homie. And that was kind of our stance doing the peace thing, homie. So bam, homie, a nigga gotta keep it clean and G'd and authentic when I kind of like share my history with my content, homie. So bam, so that happened. So now the news still running. So now niggas is in hoods politicking, pushing the line like blood. Any nigga get caught with the rips, mixing with them niggas, they getting fucked up. It's a DP. We pushing the line. This what the homies is saying for niggas my era and the niggas of they eras. That's, you know, Baby Gangster and YG at that time. You know, we can't be doing none of that. We ain't with the peace and we ain't with the truce, and we can't be tying no blue and red rags together. We can't be doing none of that, homie. So this what we pushing. So now, homie, like I said, ain't no social media. We watching the news. We see one of the big homies on the news mixing and tying colored rags, if I ain't mistaken, homie. So niggas is outraged in the spot. We like, blood, what the fuck, blood? The homie knock a 40 over on the table like, blood, what the fuck is this, blood? Niggas been out here billing niggas and everything. Homie kick shit all over in the spot and shit. He like, blood, we gonna tell blood about himself. So I'm young and I always want to talk shit. I'm like, blood, fuck that, blood. We go to the big homie spot now and push a line on blood. What type of example is that shit? Niggas been out here getting bust on and shit. But we dumb in our minds. We dumb in an illusional mindset, not looking at the future of today, homie. Niggas getting older, niggas changing their lives and trying to live a better way, homie, for our kids, for ourselves, and for our communities now. So bam, homie. So I pump it up, rally it up, blood, I want to go over there and check the big homie. So, you know, we all young. We go over there, and this particular big homie I'm talking about, I love him with all my heart, homie. He done roll for me, supported me and everything. I love him. We talked about this. We laughed about it and everything. So now with this being said, that anybody we get caught mixing, we tripping. So I pump it up to go to the big homie house with a couple of dudes that's older than me, which is my big homies. I pump it up to go to where the OG big homie at to tell him about his mixing condition with the Crips and the Bloods and pushing for peace and unity, because he was more educated on seeing the future than we was, homie. So bam, when we get there, I'm cussing a raggedly, I ain't feeling it and this and that, and I'm young. So I try to get off on the OG homie. Woof, woof, blood was happening. Blood send me. Boop, bop, boop, he send me. Bam, another young homie try to go in on a big homie. Blood, get off the homie HP. Blood, he trying to, the big homie send him. Boop, bop. So now, the homies that's generations up over us, they like, blood, he done sent a couple of the young homies. So the older big homies over, you know, over our generation, they dive in on the big homie. So we all try to take the big homie down. Big homie out there squabbling us, and we squabbling him. So we wind up shaking. Like, blood, come to the hood, because we was over in the bottoms. So we like, blood, come to the hood so we could talk about it. The big homie, I love him, he a soldier. He always stand on his P business. He hit the turf, homie, lecture us and tell us about our wrongness and all this stuff and about the future. So other big homies his age, they lace us and tell us and lecture us about the future and about getting at the big homeboy like that, about his stance, and about getting at the big homeboy like that in somebody else's neighborhood, homie. And shout out to the big homeboy. I love you, dog. You know what I'm saying? And we was just there to support you for the loss of your mom, homie. We love you, big homie, forever, homie. You know what I'm saying, homie? You my dog. You supported me through this, and you raised me G through this, homie. So anyway, homie, once we settle that all off with the big homie, dudes is in the turf, homie. We in the turf, dog. We like, you know, seeing where this stuff gonna go, homie. You know what's gonna make of it. And to dive into the story some more, the peace treaty was a good movement, but it didn't really last too long in a lot of community areas, homie. Watts areas, certain ways by Compton, you know, going Compton and, you know, borderline. Watts and borderline Compton area, they was able to push the thing, a peace in a treaty, a little longer than a lot of people, because like I said, a lot of different pockets of area, they was more educated about this thing than a lot of areas that was down in different areas, homie. So a lot of children was born from that peace treaty, mixing out the Crips and the Bloods, homie. And like I said, it didn't really last too long, too, for the simple fact that it was a lot of infiltration going on from the Crips and the Bloods of a lot of us, our bitterness towards this gang culture life that we took upon, homie. And what I mean by the infiltration, it was like, you know, hoods that didn't get along with each other. We'll go in and possibly get off and yell this hood, and dudes will go back to that hood, and that hood didn't even have nothing to do with it. So now they got a dead homie, they riding, and a Blood might get hit. Crips yell out this hood, we go back and hit. Crips didn't even have nothing to do with it. So it was a lot of uneducational truce knowledge put out. So we didn't really know, homie, about different tactics that'll happen that'll keep us all fueled up in the outrage, homie. And also I heard about, law enforcement. I don't know how true it is, taking dudes' vehicles and possibly going to get cracking on dudes, and dudes' vehicles was being marked. So it wasn't really able to be fully solidified due to the infiltration, homie. So I feel like if dudes ever do something like that again, they should kind of serve the young generation the pros or the cons of this stuff, and let them know it will be infiltration. Dudes will feel bitter, will feel it's a time of sneak attack, and we don't know about other outside entities that might involve themselves that don't care about none of the Crips and the Bloods, homie. So we got to be aware of these things when we putting down different formats, homie, especially surrounding this newer generation with peace, homie. But 89 on up, G stuff, not E stuff. And that's just my analysis and rundown on the 1992 peace treaty surrounding Rodney King, homie. A black motorist driving that was beat down and had his rights violated, beat half to death and everything, camcorded on VHS tape, dog. And like I said, 89 on up, and I'm gonna keep serving history. And I hope the young homeboy was able to get a good glimpse from the way I broke it down from my opinion and my analysis on the 1992 riot. I'm out.